Let's imagine that you are sitting in your elementary school classroom, gathered with your classmates on the carpet. You are finishing up a math lesson, and it seems like it's your lucky day. Your teacher is going to read a picture book. Your eyes wander around the classroom while you wait for your teacher to retrieve the book. It is mid-October, so what else could be covering the walls other than pictures of fall leaves, Halloween decorations, and pictures of jack-o'-lanterns? Oh, there we go. All right, class, your teacher begins. You all know that we are getting close to Halloween. The class cheers behind you. You know how it is. So I thought that we would read a book about pumpkins. Your teacher recites the pages, animating their voice here and there to match the story. They ask questions, you know. It is a great book, popping with color and creating quite an entertaining problem as the town is slowly taken over by hundreds of pumpkins that won't stop growing. The townspeople had quite the problem, your teacher recites. There was a great, big pumpkin stuck right in the middle of the city, and it wasn't going to move. This pumpkin was so heavy, it would take one of the strongest men in the city to lift it. Your class giggles and giggles at this problem that has appeared, and your teacher smiles along with the goofy story as well. On to the next page. And so the townspeople went out and... Wait, whoa. Let's just take a pause on that. What did that just say? Rewind. Yeah, keep going. A pumpkin so heavy that only a strong man can lift it? How did that get in there? Females watching this right now, how does this make you feel to hear that you would never be strong enough to lift something heavy? And males, does this sentence just feel a little out of place? Let's take a bit of a closer look into this one. No, not in that way. Now, how many phrases can you think of off the top of your head that have to do with assigning a trait to a specific gender? Wow, that was almost too easy. Although some of these phrases are a little outdated and may be on the way out for most of your vocabularies, they are still used by many people and are a part of our culture and everyday life, often used as common sayings and comparisons in media and advertisements. I wanted to do a little bit of informal research to see how prevalent these gender stereotypes were, especially on the internet, which is becoming one of the main sources of information for children nowadays. So, with a quick type of "like a man" quotes into Google Images, I was greeted with a flood of quotes that looked like this. Of the first 30 images that came up, 1/3 of them were some variation of this quote. And as I continued searching and scrolling, typing in other search terms, these same images kept appearing in many more different fonts, different backgrounds with slightly different language, but all convey the same thing to the female population. It is not enough to just be a woman. It is not enough to think like the woman that you are. If you want to become a boss, powerful, successful, thriving, you must think like a man. And if you don't, you might as well sit back while men can go out and be the heroes of the day. And that is not okay. So while we're still in freeze mode, let's take a look back at that classroom that you were sitting in. Let's look around to all of your classmates, approximately half of them being girls. Did any of them give a look of horror when that sentence was read? Did any of them cry out saying, "That's not fair," with an attempt to start a feminine protest against picture books? Did any of them even blink an eye upon hearing the oh-so-common phrase that a man is needed to lift something strong? Probably not. But what is going on in the minds of those girls when they hear phrases like these integrated into our daily lives, in picture books, on the internet, on TV, in movies? When children hear these subtle messages, it becomes ingrained in their brains that they must fit those stereotypes that are being presented to them. They hear that they don't get to be strong because girls aren't supposed to be strong. They learn that if they want something done, then they need to rely on a man to get it done. Otherwise, they might be helpless. Or stuck with a pumpkin in the middle of their city forever. There are so many wonderful organizations and campaigns that have begun in the past decade that have tried to fight for feminism and empower females to do what they want and be who they want to be. And we can share them with our students as much as we want. But if we still allow this message of injustice to be sent to our students, even in such a passive form as a storybook, and we simply turn to the next page of the story, we are passing on these inequalities to the next generation. So, is a picture book like this the reincarnation of misogyny in paper form? No. Did the author intend to make an offensive statement when they wrote that sentence? Most likely not. They were just using a typical figure of speech that we often use in everyday language. The book isn't bad. It's the fact that it usually doesn't flag anything in our minds when we hear it. That's what's bad, whether it's about pumpkins or not. So what can we do as teachers to help our students understand that these inequalities and stereotypes exist in our world? Maybe not. Probably not the best idea either. Let's try one more time. Let's go back to our teacher here and just press play. The townspeople had quite the problem, your teacher recites. There was a great big pumpkin stuck right in the middle of the city, and it wasn't going to move. This pumpkin was so heavy, it would take one of the strongest men in the city to lift it. Your class once again giggles and giggles at the problem, but this time your teacher does something a little bit differently. Now class, what did it just say about that pumpkin in the story? Who do they need to get to lift it? A big strong man! Someone calls out. You're right. It says that they need a big strong man. Now girls, do you think that's fair that it says that only a boy can lift up that strong pumpkin? I think a lot of you are really strong and just as strong as the boys in this class. You and your classmates start to look around at each other and grin a little bit. It's fun when you get called strong, whether you are a boy or a girl. Being called strong means that you can do anything. And boys, the teacher continues, do you think that it's fair to the girls in this class that the book says that they might not be strong enough to lift up the big pumpkin? No, the boys scream out. We know that it should just say strong person, right? Yeah! They all cry. And that is where you are allowed to turn the page, after the issue has been addressed. It doesn't have to be a full-blown protest. It doesn't have to be a month-long research project. It just needs to be a conversation. Students need to know the unfortunate realities of the world that we live in, and they need to know that just because things used to be a certain way, it doesn't mean that they have to stay that way forever. Girls are allowed to be strong. Boys are allowed to be strong. Girls and boys are allowed to be whatever they want. And let's make sure we let them know these things before their story is over. Okay. Class dismissed.
Easy to let things stay the same. I said, am I safe here? Yes, you are safe here. I needed here? Yes, you are needed here. Yes, you are, yes, you are. They told us how this was not our problem, how this was none of our concern. Then they chiseled and chiseled and chiseled till